Welcome one and all to Superhero Stuff You Should Know. We're talking bat strategies. So this is the Ben Man, and with me is...
Number 2 Strategist, Sun Tzu, and Drew.
This might be one of my favorites in terms of your names. It's relevant to the episode. It has a great rhyme to your name. Art of War, just all this stuff.
It's actually relevant this time. Wait, I think sometimes relevant.
Yeah, but it's a combination of all those things, not just that it's relevant.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Art of War, bitches.
We're talking about... Oh, I should have brought my copy out to show on the camera, but whatever. We're talking which Batman is the best strategist. Remember, last time we talked about heroism, and it was really between heroism or best strategist that we put it up to our $10 Patreon patrons in terms of which one do you think should be the Batman Day special. Heroism won out, but now it's time to cover strategy for the other Patreon patrons who wanted that episode. So here we are. And again, you can join the $10 tier if you want to be able to vote or influence the show in certain ways whenever we do the polls. So,
right.
As usual, we are going to be diving into all the different live-action Batman from Lewis Wilson in 1943 to Robert Pattinson, including some of the Batman stuff that was in the Flash movie from this year. And we will be doing our usual rankings in tier makers. So let me pull that up for everybody. But essentially, this is what we've seen before with... For those who might be new to us, we have S tier at the very top. That tends to be what a lot of these tiers are. S tier / world's greatest strategist. Then A, not quite as good as S, but still pretty damn good. B, still good, but flawed. C is like right in the middle, maybe average in terms of strategist. D is bad, starting to get below average, but not as bad as E. And then below E is F / goose egg / itlog, in a tribute to Dan, our assistant. And world's greatest dumbass is on the bottom. So I don't know if we're going to get anybody like that, but
world's greatest dumbass. Who would be on that in the DC world?
I don't know. We let us know in the comments section what you guys think, or maybe we'll think of it during the recording. But Scooby
Dum, if he's ever in the DC, well, I'm sure he's somewhere in the DC world.
Right, yeah, because there's the Batman and Scooby-Doo crossovers. So
yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, he'd be at the itlog. He'd be the world's greatest dumbass. So we're talking strategy in terms of which Batman was the best strategist, and strategy is a big component of who Batman is. He's known for his intelligence. We've covered him as a detective before in rankings, but we haven't really covered strategy, where it's Batman's ability to outthink his opponent outside of outpunching him. So this will be on Batman's brains in the Art of War, Sun Tzu and Drew. So this will be how effective his strategy is in battle or in capturing the villain. And they've even acknowledged this in the Flash. Barry calls Batman the strategist they need. So even the different interpretations know that this is an important factor in this. So we'll be diving into each one of them, starting, of course, with Lewis Wilson. So here we go. Lewis Wilson from 1943. Lewis Wilson actually has a fair amount of strategy to his game for a guy who played Batman 5 years into Batman's career. So this is the debut of the Batcave was in the serial, and Batman used the Batcave not just as a headquarters, but he had a special room where he would put his hostages, his criminals in, and threaten to leave the guy alone with bats if he didn't talk. And then he also there was this radium gun that was part of the plot, and he pointed the gun at the henchman, not to kill him, but to intimidate him into talking. So that's a kind of an interesting strategy that he uses the Batcave for that we don't usually see these days in the modern interpretations. In the first episode, he tricks criminals into shooting at the chimney when he and Robin are actually somewhere else. So he does a fair amount of manipulation in battle to his benefit. He's also one of the few Batmen to go undercover in disguise. This is something that you and I have talked about a lot, where they don't really do the Master of Disguise thing that much in the live-action adaptations.
I don't know why they don't. I think it's really cool.
It's a cool aspect. It's a carryover from The Shadow and Sherlock Holmes. And again, just looking at the actors they get, is plenty of these guys have the range for it too. You know, like even I think at one point I speculated how fun it would be to have seen Ben Affleck just put on more of his Boston accent as Matches Malone, like he'd just be a natural at that. So
that would be awesome.
Would have been awesome.
Actually.
Yeah. So yeah, he does it. This is before Matches Malone was ever created. So this one, he's called Chuck White. And he even tests out his disguise on Alfred and the love interest Linda Page to make sure that he can fool people. He even goes as far as to put the makeup of Chuck White on himself before he dons the cowl, because at one point they take his cowl off to find out that Chuck White is Batman. That way Bruce Wayne's identity is still kept secret. So he was thinking many steps ahead, this Batman.
Nice.
In episode 3, he strategizes to put an ad in the papers to entice the villain's men and sets up a trap using Alfred as bait. Alfred's willing to be the bait in this one. So that's another evidence of his strategy. Also ends up you finding out that Linda is going to meet with a fortune teller, ends up basically replacing the fortune teller so that he can get a lead on who's behind the crimes. And then when he arrests another guy in episode 9 to put him in the Batcave, the bats are not intimidating enough for the guy, so he changes strategies and allows the guy to get kind of free and untied so that he could call a phone number. That way Batman can trace the call and find out where, the big boss is. When he calls that phone number, he tricks the guy on the other end into giving him the name by saying, like, is this such and such? He kind of gives the wrong name deliberately. And the guy says, no, this is the blank residence. And he's like, all right, sorry, wrong number. But then he knows who's there. So again, he's outthinking the criminals in this. So this is pretty cool, I think. And especially given the fact that this is Batman at his earliest. This is the very first live action interpretation. So they could have phoned this part in, and just made him just beat the shit out of criminals, and that's it. Let's see. And then in the finale, he does use Alfred to distract the attendant at a carnival so they can go and get Dr. Dacca, and uses an opportunity to follow Dacca's men inside and spies on the people coming and going so he knows how to enter the secret door for the headquarters. So far, pretty good. Let's go into flaws. In the first episode, I wrote this down. This doesn't bite him in the ass, but at one point he's arresting criminals with Robin, and he mentions to Robin, "I've got a date tonight." Probably not the best thing to mention in front of a bunch of guys you arrested, especially when it comes to his secret identity. Yeah. So that's not great. Episode 6 probably shouldn't have redirected the radium gun, known for exploding things, towards gasoline. So you would think you would know that. Episode 10 was the biggest thing, though, because he disguises himself as Chuck White. Okay, kind of cool. So he can go undercover and be a part of the gang of the criminals, and they're waiting for this radium shipment. So you would think, okay, he's going to wait for the radium shipment, then he's going to join them, get to the hideout, and then he's going to reveal himself as Batman and arrest them from within. Instead, for whatever reason, probably because this is only episode 10 out of 15, he blows his cover way early, kind of out of nowhere, with no explanation why, and blows the whole operation. And just decides to attack the criminals now, as opposed to waiting it out. So that's why it takes him 5 more episodes to get to the actual villain's hideout. This thing is over 3 hours for just to find out where the villain is. So that's a big knock against him. And then in the final episode, he pretty much ends up getting captured by Dacca's men, does not have great situational awareness, needs Robin's help in order to escape. So that's what we got. So started off good, has some points against him. Where do we rank him on here? Based off of the notes that I have.
I don't know, man. My gut kind of says B, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I wrote B over here. B minus, the lowest, but there wasn't anything like really egregious, I think. So
yeah,
let's put him at B. I think it's fair. These serial guys are never going to get S anyway. Let's face it.
Pointing the radium gun at a fucking gas thing, like, come on, dude.
Right.
You don't need to be the world's greatest detective for that one.
Yeah. So yeah, could have been better. But let's go into his successor, Robert Lowery. Robert Lowery has fared pretty much
every
better.
time we see these two guys, when we cut from this guy's suit's just worse to me. It's like, I wonder if kids at the time were like, oh, man, like the first suit is clearly better.
Yeah.
I know we're not ranking suits, but it's just something I wanted to mention because I think this every time we do these, we go over these two dudes.
Yeah.
Don't you think
if you look at the ears, if you look at the ears, I mean, I think when we did rank the suits, I was crazy enough to think that I preferred Lowery's, but that might have been for different reasons. Now, when I look at these specific pictures, like obviously this fares better than this. If you look at the ears, you look at the placement of the bat insignia. The belt is not pulled up. The
belt's off kilter. It looks like maybe.
Yes, it is.
Also, the design's worse too. Like the first suit's way better. I'm just thinking of people that are in their 80s now. Probably like when they saw these serials, they were probably like, they were probably like, what do you call it? Disappointed.
Yeah.
They were let down by the new incarnation. Sorry, man, but you probably did anyway.
Look at the gloves too. Like Lewis Wilson's got like the kind of it's a cheap version, but he's got the early versions of the gauntlet. Yeah. And Lowery's just got big gardening gloves on there.
Are they blacked out, or he has no gauntlets?
I don't think he had gauntlets, actually. Maybe I'm wrong. That's a good question. Let me look right now, actually.
We'd have to. Well, he's looking it up. Yeah, it's just the way that they're pointed. His ears suck. Like, this guy also had the worst Batmobile too, or what? If I remember.
Yeah, we gave him the goose egg for the Batmobile.
Man, this guy sucks, dude. I'm just kidding.
We did give him. I forgot what we gave him in terms of detective, but I think he got an A or a B.
I would like to apologize to what's his name?
Robert Lowery.
The estate of Robert Lowery at this time.
Yeah, I don't think he had gauntlets. I can't see them in the pictures here.
Well, fuck him.
Yeah,
just kidding. So let's hear about a strategy.
Let's see how he does with strategy, though. This is on strategy. This is not on the bat suit. Yeah. Maybe it's a knock against him. It's a bad strategy to have this piece of shit suit, but and this wasn't even a goose egg suit.
No, it's a good strategy because none of the criminals will want to look at it, and then he gets a chance to punch every criminal.
So throughout the subplot that's in Batman and Robin, the 1949 serial, is that Vicky Vale is trying to prove that Bruce Wayne is Batman, which is pretty true to the comics at the time. So let's see. At the beginning, Vicky, in order to get Vicky out of Wayne Manor so that he can go on and be Batman, he has Dick call in and say, "Oh, there's an accident at Harbor Boulevard," and Vicky's like, "I got to go cover the story." And Alfred turns to Bruce after she leaves, and he's like, "But sir, like, what if there's no actual accident on Harbor Boulevard?" And Bruce is like, "Actually, there's at least one accident there every night." So this Bruce keeps up with all the different traffic in Gotham to know where the most popular places would be, and bets the odds that there's already an accident so that when Vicky gets there, she doesn't find it suspicious. Okay. So I thought that was kind of cool. Let's see. He and Robin managed to escape from an exploding plane in the second episode, though honestly it was just kind of a matter of opening the door, so maybe I gave him too much credit when I was doing the notes here. Does have a fake packet of diamonds in order to switch it out with real diamonds to trick a criminal. So that was kind of cool. Uses strategy to have Robin bring the thugs to him in episode 4 rather than both of them rushing in and getting shot. He also is the last Batman so far in live action to go in disguise. So both serial Batmen did the disguise thing. Unlike Lewis Wilson, though, he did not actually put much makeup on for this. So he...
Well, maybe that's budget. Maybe that's just the budget.
It could be budget. So they capture one of the gang.
I mean, look at his suit.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
I'm cracking myself up.
They capture one of the gang members, right?
Yeah.
Named Mac, and he disguises himself as Mac, and to convince the thugs that he's this guy, he wears an eye patch. Okay. That's it. Bruce Wayne wears an eye patch to pass as Mac, and then when they take the eye patch off,
his name is Wayne Bruce. Wayne Bruce or something. What's his name when he's eye patch man?
His name is Mac. Mac Lacey.
Mac Lacey.
Because that's the guy's real name.
I love those 30s gangster names.
So,
okay.
Unlike Chuck White, this is not a persona he created. This is an actual guy he's trying to disguise himself as, and he figures he has enough of a resemblance. So I get it, but once they remove the eye thing, then they're just like, "You're not Mac," and then he's got like no way to get out of that. So not as good of a master of disguise.
That's maybe just a a trope for a kids show at the time.
Yeah,
I might, it's not. We're not watching Seven. Like this is, it's kind of. I think I'm gonna give that a pass. I actually will give that a pass.
Let's see. So some pluses as well. I should remind myself I'm on pluses, not minuses right now. This Batmobile is the Goose Egg Batmobile, but unlike the previous one, it does actually have shit to do. So he has a fake police siren installed in it in order to trick criminals into thinking that like the police are on the way. So he has Robin use it to trick a bunch of guys. So that's cool. At one point, they capture both Batman and Robin, and they make Batman, or Bruce in his disguise, shoot Robin. And so what he does to get himself out, both of them out of the situation, is he deliberately shoots Robin's belt buckle, and then uses the gun to shoot the light and get away. So, I don't know how realistic that is, and imagine if he missed. But this is Batman. Clearly, is good at shooting and with guns. So
you'll have some dick left over, Robin. He actually set the precedent, not Burt Ward.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry. There's much that'll be left over.
This Batman is also prepared. He has a gas mask for himself and Robin, as well as a torch to get out of a death trap in episode 7, which is cool.
Okay.
Comes up with a plan to trick a guy in episode 8, who he believes to be in on the plan. And so he uses, this sounds familiar if you remember Dark Knight, radioactive bills to trace everything to the villain through a Geiger counter. So the whole radioactive money thing, that's actually in the Batman and Robin serial before it was in the Dark Knight.
God, that's so specific. I wonder if Goyer, saw this and was like, perhaps. Or maybe somebody that wrote a comic saw this, put it in the comic, and then Goyer saw the comic. I don't know, but it's very specific kind of thing, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that has been used in real life either. Because I can also easily see it being like, this was a famous case in like the 1940s or something, and then Nolan reads it and just like, let's just use this. And so like, then it becomes part of it without him even realizing it was a connection to the serial.
I mean, plus
could be either one.
Did it give people that handle it cancer too? Like, what the fuck? Radiated bills? Like, what the hell, man?
I don't know, but that's what they ended up using. So that's kind of cool. In episode 9, he has Gordon let a criminal go so that they can watch him and follow him. Episode 10, he tricks a guy they catch into revealing where the wizard's hideout is by hiding in the back of the truck. So that's cool. Episode 11 deliberately goes to a professor for information, Professor Hamill, and plants where he'll be in order to test whether or not that guy is the wizard, because he knows if the wizard shows up there, that means that guy, the professor, is the wizard.
So there's actual magic in this?
Well, he's called the wizard, but he just gives himself that name. What he really is he possesses a device that enables him to, control things from far away or blow things up from far away.
Okay.
Also uses another gadget in the Batmobile. Again, there's actual gadgets in this Batmobile to allow Robin to listen into his location. And also has, for the first time in live action history, though it's in the comics, has Alfred show up in a bat suit in order to throw off suspicion that Bruce Wayne is Batman. So that's another cool aspect. Ends up having Gordon feed fake information to Barry Brown, who's a radio broadcaster he suspects is in league with the wizard. Episode 13 puts himself in a vault in order to capture the wizard. And then in episode 14 gives an infrared bulb to Vicky Vale in order to help identify the wizard, knowing that if she takes a picture of him, then it'll actually show who's underneath the mask. Episode 15 is where he really shines because he's the one who deduces who the wizard actually is and outthinks him, tells Gordon to check all cars for the wizard when he sort of puts him in a trap, and has the idea of sending Robin to a place where basically where they suspect the wizard hideout is. And then at the very end, to finally throw Vicky Vale off, he's in the same room as Vicky when Vicky gets a phone call, and it's from Bruce Wayne, when in reality it's Alfred playing a recording of Bruce's voice on the other end. So, pretty good on this. Let's go into flaws. So, in episode 1, he kind of... This one I might let slide, but he gets out of a plane and gets caught at gunpoint by goons. He could have stayed in and seen that it was going to be a trap, but, this is 1940s plotting, so who knows? In episode 3, there's a cliffhanger where he's like holding onto a crowbar that's being affected by like the device, and I'm just like, Batman, you can just let go of it. You don't have to get caught in the middle of it. But maybe he wasn't able to due to the device. Episode 6, I already talked about how his disguise as Mac Lacey is just bandages over his eye. Episode 7 doesn't have the most effective way of dodging bullets from behind a cabin door. He just moves. He just kind of ducks down. He doesn't try to move away from the wall that's being shot at. But he doesn't get shot, so technically his strategy still worked.
Okay.
Episode 9 is the most egregious to me. He figures out that the wizard is using a device to disable cars. So he uses the Batmobile, which then gets disabled. And since the car doesn't work, Batman tries to go after him in another car that he commandeers. So I'm like, Batman, like, this guy's able to control shit. Like, this is not the way to go.
Right.
But not too bad, right? Like, this is definitely not C level, I would say. Like, some of the stuff is minor. I know last time you went first. I'm going to put him about the same, maybe slightly higher than the previous guy.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same. I mean, the car thing is maybe the worst, right? Yeah. And then that's maybe not as bad as the radium gun, so maybe slightly higher.
Right. Yeah, so, let's put him higher. We already put him higher as a detective anyway. So
it's a consolation prize for his shitty ass suit.
Well, he ranked pretty high. He ranked high in heroism. He also didn't kill anybody. So even though that's shitty, good. He still has good characterization in this.
Okay,
I think better characterization than the Lewis Wilson version. So
overall, those two serials,
yeah,
like story wise, just generally, which one's better?
The second one.
The second one is
better.
We
just went over, yeah.
It is better. Okay, yeah.
It's better. It's got more comic book characters. Commissioner Gordon is actually in it. Vicky Vale is just a more interesting female lead than Linda Page is to me, just in general. Alfred's a little bit more traditional. You also don't really have any of the Japanese stereotype shit that's in the first one.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that part.
And it's just, what's cool about it is that it's the only other one other than The Batman from 2022 that's an actual mystery. And Batman, you could argue even then that between the two of them, Batman figures out more shit in the serial than he does in The Batman. Because in The Batman, he kind of gets the smoking gun evidence that Falcone is the rat. But you don't really see him figure out the clues that Falcone is the rat. He kind of just figures it out when he gets like the most obvious clue. Here, he figures out before everyone who the wizard is.
Gotcha.
So,
that's cool. All right.
It's good.
Okay, cool.
So, let's go into Adam West. So now the Batman that people are more familiar with.
Moving on.
Yes. All right, Michael Keaton. No, so Adam West. I mean, come on. He's prepared for every trap. Has shark repellent bat spray in the copter, not in the bat boat, but in the fucking copter. Because
you never know when your copter's going to be attacked by a shark.
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool. Deliberately doesn't tell the truth to the press about a missing ship so that it doesn't spread panic. Has the plan to use his date with Kitka to bait criminals with Alfred and Robin watching over them with the Batmobile. Baits the villains by claiming to have a transmitter in his suit when they capture him as Bruce Wayne. And then when they try to bring him out, he fights them and escapes. So, pretty good so far. Able to get rid of the bomb in that famous sequence where, like, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. He's able to do that without killing anyone, not even the little ducks. S tier.
Yes.
Puts Penguin under bat gas so he doesn't see the entrance of the Batcave. gives himself and Robin pills to make them immune to Penguin's gas before Penguin even gasses them, because he knows the Penguin is going to gas them. And he does it deliberately around the location of the hidden bat cycle so that they can immediately take chase after him. So pretty good shit. Strategizes to bring the sub that the villains are hiding at and under. He basically strategizes to bring it up to the surface rather than sink it by having Robin use the bat charge on them. So, I mean, it's Adam West, so of course he's going to be the genius out of all these guys. So potential flaws, I had to stretch for some of these, if there's any, because I want to be fair. I don't want to just be like there's none, absolutely. But let's just see what we can do. At one point, he's unable to get out of the magnet death trap because the batteries are dead in his device. Not really his fault. Maybe he could have charged his batteries beforehand. Either way, they get saved by, I think, a whale sacrifices itself. A
whale sacrifice? What episode is this?
This is the movie.
Oh, the movie. Okay.
It's very brave of it to have taken that missile for
dude, I saw the movie, I think, on Nick at Night, dude, way back in the day. I don't know if I've seen it since then. So I've forgotten a lot about it.
Yeah. We did see that table read thing with Ralph Garman.
Yeah. We saw
that. Was kind of a refresher, I guess.
Yeah, that was a refresher, but I forgot about the fucking whale, man.
I think it's a whale. Maybe it's a... Actually, I'll look that up later.
Okay. You're like, I gotta know. I have to know right now.
Somebody in the comments is going to be like, actually, it was a seal.
Well, actually, it was a porpoise.
Yes. It might have been, actually. But when he's on the date with Kitka as Bruce Wayne, he sees the bat signal and says, of course, how clever. But, like, maybe it would give it away, but... It's obviously she doesn't figure out that he's Batman, so that's fine. When he's carrying the bomb, at one point he seems to directly run at the band as it's playing towards, because he's running after and people are all over the place. So at one point he seems to be running directly at the band, but he does make sure to course correct. So again, that's a very small thing, because you know how it is when your adrenaline's rushing and it doesn't quite catch up to your brain that you're doing something that isn't productive. So I feel like that we can let that slide. This one, maybe, when they bring Penguin to the Batcave because they want to see what his game is when he's trying to pretend to be Commodore Schmidlab, they allow Penguin to use the water in the Batcave, not knowing that he's going to use the water to rehydrate all of his henchmen and have them pop out. They couldn't have really known that he was going to do that, but it does enable Penguin to have kind of the upper hand temporarily. And then you could say his plan to make the sub go up to the surface is a little risky because, he's having Robin shoot at it with the bat charge, and it's causing the submarine to go back and forth, and it could potentially cause all the dehydrated, United World leaders to spill in their little vial things. But he doesn't necessarily know how they're being stored there, and the dehydrated UN leaders do not spill from him firing on them. They spill later due to Commodore Schmidlab, but that's not because of Batman. So either way, his strategy still worked. So maybe the only minus is the water thing with Penguin, and even then, that still ended up working out. So
I mean, you gotta hand it to the writers too to be able to, write him this well with, the strategy being this good, all the time.
Yeah,
it's a hard thing to do,
I think West gets another S.
Has he ever gotten anything lower than S?
We might have not given him an S for fighting.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a little... I mean, the competition is a little... it's not quite fair, right? Considering that you wouldn't have expected really, great fight choreography for something like that. At least when it's not... That was not the TV show with Bruce Lee in it. And even then, I haven't seen enough episodes of Green Hornet to even know how good that fighting was.
Well, Bruce Lee's in Batman 66, though, right?
Yeah, as when Green Hornet crosses over.
Yeah.
As Kato.
I'm sure that fighting was good, but that's him fighting. That's not
him
Adam
fighting,
West.
Yeah, that's not the choreography, yeah.
That was when, just when martial arts were taking over the world, I think, via Bruce Lee. Taking over America, right? So they hadn't quite... I don't know, it just hadn't quite made its way into, the rest of, like, pop culture.
Yeah, it was mainly just brawling and boxing for like American TV shows, so I wouldn't have expected it to have really been there that much, unless Bruce Lee crossed over to the Batman '66 set and started doing the choreography for that, but that didn't happen. So
yeah, it would have been cool if that happened, but I don't know if West could move anywhere near like him. So
no, I don't think so.
It's not really. He just didn't have that background, man.
Yeah. So that's what we got for Adam West, and then we'll end with Michael Keaton before we go to the break. So we're covering 89 returns, and I'll include the Flash in this because they're all played by Keaton in it. And honestly, none of the stuff really changes much of the score. I know we've had a lot of dispute in the comments section about whether or not he's a different Batman, but just like we're treating all the Affleck appearances, even from Snyder or not Snyder, under the same thing, we'll just be consistent with that, no matter what your opinion is on whether or not he's a different interpretation. Mm-hmm. So let's go into it. So Michael Keaton, his version. Hold on, let me switch over. I didn't even show Adam West.
Oh man, what are you doing? Yeah, you did show him, right or no? Am I wrong?
I didn't show him like this. I showed him on the tier maker. It was on the tier maker the whole time.
Oh my god.
Well, here's Adam West.
Great shot. Love the yellow background.
Yeah, that too. Such an upgrade.
It really is. It's honestly a great suit too, except that the bat symbol's just too low. But other than that, it's so good.
Mm-hmm. All right, Keaton. So let's talk about 89. Obviously, he's got his urban legend tactics. He gets shot in the armor and gets back up. Basically has the tactic of it seeming like he's a creature of the night. The origin of which I wrote into the Val from the Grave audio story for Newverse Creative. So check that out.
Love how you pepper in the plugs.
Oh, yes. Newverse Creative, Batman 89, Val from the Grave. Check it out on YouTube and podcasts. Knows the approach of one of the thugs at Access Chemicals to the point where he can hit him with a back fist without even looking. That's cool. Yep. Classic. Plans on bringing Vicky back to the Batcave because he knows that she has the film of his true identity and ends up taking it from her. Uses Vicky's serving tray when he's at her apartment as a bulletproof shield and makes himself the target in order to save Vicky in the infamous "You want to get nuts" scene. Uses his disappearing act as a strategy against the thug in the bell tower in order to defeat him. May have even let the guy continuously, keep punching him in order to sort of lead him to the edge. Because it seems like the guy's beating him up, but Batman's backing away until he supposedly falls over, and then when the guy looks over, he uses his legs to bring the guy over the edge. So, could have been deliberate, knowing that the armor could take a lot of the blows, or that he could just take the blows. So, that's how I choose to read that part. Let's see. Returns.
Yeah, it's probably right. I would say it's right.
Yeah. Batman returns when Selina's in the hostage situation with Branscombe, one of our former guests who played
Branscombe, yes.
With the clown. He basically just uses the grapnel gun to shoot past the guy and use part of the wall in order to hit him. So that was cool. Uses the remote control batarang when he's surrounded by the Red Triangle Circus Gang. Tricks the strongman with the bomb and blows the guy up. Gets out a Catwoman's whip by throwing the thermite gadget on her arm. He's the only Batman as well to have some kind of security system or shields on his Batmobile, though it does end up getting hacked. He's also the only one who's gotten the Batmobile hacked, so it's maybe it's a wash. This is cool. When Penguin takes over the Batmobile, though, he does think ahead to record Penguin in there so that he can use it against him later on. So that's cool. And then makes the Penguins return to the zoo when they've got the missiles strapped to their backs in order to basically use the explosions against Penguin. All right, then let's move to the Flash. Uses gas bombs to get him and the Flashes and Supergirl out of trouble with the guards in Sokovia. Is able to use that one after pulling out the tape measure and asking how much they weigh. He does use that explosive device to get all of them up, launching the elevator up to the top so that they can escape. We talked about this too on the show, but it does seem like maybe if Barry told him that Kryptonians were powered by the sun, he knew to get Supergirl up to the top of the sun so that she could take out the guards. Because there is that part where he's looking around. It seems like he knows when he brings his fist together that Supergirl is going to come and save the day.
Yeah. That's true.
So That's cool. And then in his second death scene, he uses all those bombs to take down Namek, able to go toe to toe with a Kryptonian, which is pretty cool.
Yes, that was cool.
So that's what we got in terms of strategy stuff. Let's go into potential flaws. I think Keaton's going to fare better here than he did on heroism. But he does give Vicky Vale the excuse that he's leaving town, but does not account for her verifying with Alfred, which is how she figures out that he's not actually leaving town in 89. So kind of minor, but could have covered his bases maybe. But he didn't really have time. It's not like he could have texted Alfred because it's 89. You could argue that his strategy of protecting Vicky in the "you want to get nuts" scene is flawed because, yes, he does make himself a target. Joker shoots him, but also Joker could have easily done anything he wanted to Vicky right afterwards, like shoot her. So it's kind of arguable on that. But to be fair, it was effective, right? Because he shot Bruce and then he left and Vicky was fine. So
right.
Maybe we'll allow it since we love getting nuts. And then people have brought this up as a criticism of the Batwing, but he's either a terrible shot or he built a bad targeting system into the Batwing because he misses Joker every time when he's shooting with the Batwing stuff.
I feel like that's just intimidation or something.
Yeah. When my favorite interpretation of that is from Ian. So Ian Miller is one of our guests who he does the art for the Batman Enigma comic. And he actually wrote the Newverse Creative audio drama for Batman 89. And so in the narration, he writes that Batman is deliberately missing when it comes to Joker.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how you have to read it. I mean, other than that, I really think it's just Tim Burton thinks it looks cool.
Yeah, I think so.
Really, that's about it.
So let's see. Batman Returns. This is where Bruce's identity as Batman kind of bleeds over into Bruce Wayne. He kind of outs to Shrek that he doesn't like him, knows the Penguin's a criminal, that he's kind of investigating, nearly outs himself as Batman to Selina and say, I must have mistook me for someone else. But to be fair, it's not like Shrek and Selina figured it out at that point. So, again, this is just me kind of reaching to find any possible flaws in order to make this fair. Does almost forget his coat as well because he's distracted by Selina and doesn't know where his elevator is going. But that could just be him putting on an act as Bruce Wayne, and that's also just how hot Michelle Pfeiffer was. So can't really count that against him, really. The Poodle does take the remote control Batarang in that one Red Triangle Circus sequence. He does not really seem to go after it that much, but he could be on his way to try to get it before he gets attacked by another clown. He does get tricked by Catwoman's "How could you? I'm a woman" before she hits him. But to be fair, it's probably the first time he's ever had to fight a woman when he's out there. And he does kind of fall for her seduction and get stabbed by her claw. But for the most part, his strategy is pretty good in the Burton films. Tries to in the Flash. There's a comedic bit where he tries to hack where Supergirl's held hostage with what seems like a flip phone, which the Flash criticizes, but it could be chalked up to him just from the fact that his tech is going to be outdated because he hasn't been Batman for a while. He just came out of retirement. So there's that.
True. Honestly, also that can be read like he has that flip phone because they can't be traced as easily as a smartphone.
That too. Yeah.
It's a security measure. I'm sure he has a smartphone somewhere else, but not all of his phones are like that. I don't know. That's kind of how I read it because it's the whole paranoid, always prepared kind of thing about him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if that's a real, like it was actually a flip phone or Barry just called it that too. I'd have to look at that device again.
Yeah. True.
When they meet that one random Sokovian guy, Batman does try to scare him by randomly flinching. Doesn't seem to work, but I could see it working with someone else. Clearly it would have, otherwise Batman wouldn't have tried that. This got called out on Twitter. I don't know what happened to my voice there. This got called out on Twitter.
On Twitter? You're like that pubescent dude on Simpsons. You order fries, sir?
So this is what's happening. So when he basically is getting shot down in the Batwing, he tries to kind of kamikaze it into a ship. People criticize this because he already knows that the ship is shielded, and when he does when he basically says, "I'm not going down alone," he does crash the ship into the Kryptonian ship, and it doesn't really do anything to it. At least we're not seeing that it does anything to it. So it doesn't really do anything against it. He could have used it on other things or other Kryptonians, maybe. But again, we're talking about Kryptonians. So if everything is as sturdy as Superman here, it's kind of tough to take him out through that means.
Yeah, I think so. I never thought about that, but yeah, that wasn't good. They're just really trying to find ways to make him die in this movie.
I think so. Yeah, I think the Namek death was better.
Yeah.
So, how do we rank him on this? This is interesting.
What do you think's his most egregious error?
Let me look through here, right? Because some of these things I'm questioning, but arguably still worked. Like the apartment scene with Vicky, you can be like, well, that probably, like, Joker could have easily killed her, but
what, you want to get nuts thing?
Still worked. Yeah, you wanted to get nuts. I'm just like, well, technically that shouldn't have worked, but it did. So
nah, it did work. So you can't. That's him reading the room, dude.
Yeah,
acting on the fly.
You could say that he knew that Joker shooting him. Joker, would sort of know that people would hear the gunshot, and people would call the police, and the police would be on their way. Maybe it would have helped if there were sirens or something at the end of that scene to make that part of. If we're really going to go deep into it, but I didn't really thought that much about it.
I think that I like that. That scene's cool. That works for me. Yeah. I don't think that's a demerit.
It is iconic. It is iconic. No. Yeah. Like it's iconic. I'm just thinking of it from this lens, Just like, obviously I'm a Keaton fan, but I had to look at it through the heroism lens when it came to that episode.
Yeah.
If he had the most egregious, maybe the stuff about getting distracted by Catwoman, but that's kind of understandable since he's human.
That's the thing. They write him like, he's invincible except when it comes to women. Like that's kind of how they're writing him in Batman Returns. So, I don't know. It's not a big deal. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I maybe give him a B plus or something.
Yeah,
he's in the B range.
Let's give him a B plus. Higher than Lowery, not as close as West. On this. It is funny because he is distracted by Catwoman, and then you get to Robert Pattinson, who just basically slams Zoe Kravitz into a table in the first meeting. He doesn't give a fuck.
I'm too grunge to give a fuck about this bitch right now.
So this is what we got so far in the rankings. Before we go to the break, we've got everybody's pretty good, actually. Like Lewis Wilson at the bottom of the B tier. Then Robert Lowery, then Michael Keaton at the top of the B tier, and then Adam West at S as the world's greatest strategist. So we'll see where all the other guys rank after the break. All right, everyone, we have November announcements, and since he was part of the episode we're recording, Tim Maxwell is here from Nuverse Creative. So Tim and I have a few collaborations that I want to tell you guys about, some of which you may have already heard. These were definitely produced very quickly to the point where I didn't have anything in last month's announcements for these, so I'm making up for that this month. So we have 3 to talk about. One is Batman Forever, Night of the Reaper, and that is an adaptation of the Dennis O'Neil, Neil Adams story, but set in the world of Batman Forever, which has been really cool. So anything else to add on that, Tim?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm a huge fan, or I think the whole Val Kilmer Batman and even George Clooney, it's very nostalgic for me, and I think for a lot of people. And so I think it's cool that you've written a story and put it in that world, and we could just imagine a little bit more of the stories and what could have happened, with Val Kilmer's Batman.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe we'll dive more into it in the future. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
This one is Batman 89, A Vow from the Grave, another adaptation of the 1970s story, but this time for Keaton's Batman. As you can see from the thumbnail that Tim did, this is the blue and gray suit that you see in the vault in The Flash. And if you're a believer that the Batman in The Flash is different from the Burton Batman, then you can use this as an explanation for the Iron Winch suit in the Kenner toys. So it's up to you on that. But I did think it would be cool to have different audios that cover each of the suits. So the original first appearance suit we did with Case of the Chemical Syndicate. this one, Val from the Grave, considering that suit looks very much like the Neil Adams style Batman suit. So, anything else on this one?
Yeah, I was gonna say I had a comment recently where I think someone made the request that we make a story or an audio drama or audio story for each of the suits that Keaton has in that vault, which I think would be pretty neat. Which was actually something I remember when I was a kid and getting all the different action figures. It didn't make sense to me that those suits weren't in the movie. And I remember thinking, I don't remember seeing him in a yellow suit. Like I love the toy, but I don't remember this from the movie. And so I think fast forward to now, it's cool that we can either come up with stories or use stories to put in that world that would validate or give a reason for that suit. And so I think that's fascinating. Yeah.
That is a good point too. There's not just because like after this one, those are the first two suits, and then obviously you got the '89 Return suit and the one from the Flash, and then there's kind of just two left that are in that vault. But then there's all the Kenner variations. So there's a lot. There's a lot of possible stories here.
Yeah, it's endless. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next one is set in the Dark Knight universe. This is The Dark Knight Fears. This is an adaptation of the Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale story from the Haunted Knight collection, where Christian Bale's Batman in this one is fighting, he's in a rematch with Cillian Murphy's Scarecrow, set during the Halloween, that happens after or in between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. So really, really enjoyed working on this one as well. I mean, I liked working on all of these, but this was one where it was kind of fun to... I mean, it's my first one writing in that world, because I've written a bunch of the Keaton ones. That some of the, the Nolan style is actually very fun to try to write or try to capture, and the way that the different Bruces talk. I'll talk about this in the episode. It becomes a little bit more apparent when you have to do something like this, where each Batman is narrating each story. It's been really fun.
Yeah, and huge props and thanks to you for writing these. I think they're fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So hopefully we'll have a lot more to come. But those are the three that will have been announced or will have been released by the time that this episode comes out. All right, over to Andrew.
Woo! All right, everybody check out Gaming Gaiden. That's my other podcast. It's about video games. Gaiden is spelled Gaiden. Gaming Gaiden. We're on YouTube and on your favorite podcast listening app. And it's a lot of like retro gaming, 90s gaming, and also Japanese translation of video games and that whole world. So, and also if you grew up reading Electronic Gaming Monthly magazine, there's stuff for you in there as well. And Gaming Gaiden, check it out. Probably best on YouTube, but it's good anywhere. Gotcha. And moving on to the next one, Metal Force. So go to www.metalforce.ninja. That's the website for the project that I'm doing now, and it's basically R-rated Power Rangers meets Stranger Things, and it's like a bloody horror movie that I'm working on. And we just finished our Kickstarter, but I'm announcing now that we're going to run a Seed and Spark crowdfunding page again, because the Kickstarter was run during the strike and not many people could do it, etc., etc. So first month or two in 2024, we'll run a Seed and Spark for people that couldn't make it then. And then we'll get to shooting after that. So, please check out metalforce.ninja for all the details.
Nice. And then, finally, last but certainly not least, in fact, probably the most important, is our monthly charity promotion. And this is for the month of November is the month of Thanksgiving. And it's known for having plenty of food, but unfortunately not everybody in the world gets to experience that. So, for that, we are promoting No Kid Hungry, which is a way for you to donate and support the work in food banks, schools, and other places where children can be provided with food and meals and not go hungry, as the title says. So go to nokidhungry.org, donate there. Again, these charity drives, we don't get anything out of them. We just randomly pick them because we think if you're a fan of superheroes, you should also be a fan of helping others.
Yes, that's part of the whole vibe here. So yeah, that's awesome, Ben. I actually wasn't aware till we got to usually we discuss, but no problem. This is an awesome pick. I do love this. Perfect for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, please go to nokidhungry.org.
And with that, those are the announcements. Thanks, everyone.
Well, you catch more flies with honey. Hibby-hoo, hibby-hoo. If you like catching flies, that is, you stupid fuck.
And we're back to discuss the rest of the Batmen and how they rank with strategy. So, once again, to sort of recap here, what we got are Adam West at the top at S, and then everyone else is at B tier so far, with the serial guys under Michael Keaton. So, let's see where we got with the Schumacher versions. Starting with Val Kilmer. All right, so he's got nipples on his chest.
Stare into my nipples of the future.
S tier.
I think that's from Really Really Big Man. I think no, Powdered Toast Man maybe on Ren and Stimpy or something. Anyway, or Really Really Big Man from Rocko's Modern Life. But anyway, let's continue.
So let's look at the different times he's outthought his opponents. So he only has one movie. I mean, to be fair, Adam West, I only evaluated based off of his one movie, rather than all the TV show episodes, because otherwise we'd be here all day. But let's go off what we got here.
Quite a lot to deal with there.
So he does trick the thugs in the beginning by making it seem like there's an empty elevator, but he's really at the top and takes them down. Uses the guard's hearing aid in order to get them out of the safe when they're held hostage there, and is able to use the grappling hooks to return the safe back into the hole without damaging any property or harming the guard inside, or outside, which is, obviously, comic book movie physics, but shows how much of a pro Kilmer's Batman is.
Yes.
When he wants to have Dick Grayson stay in Gotham so that he doesn't go off and try to get himself killed, he entices Dick by showing him the bikes in his garage. He's very good at enticing Dick.
Entices Dick with all of his with his hog.
Yes.
God
and
damn
then
it, dude. That's a gift that keeps on giving until the day we die.
He outwits Two-Face.
At that stupid joke.
So other than enticing Dick, he does outwit Two-Face in the car chase.
He outdicks Chase Meridian.
Well, we know that.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, he outwits Two-Face in the car chase by going up the building, much to the dismay of screenwriter Janet Batchelor, who told us, excuse me, how does he get down? Because she did not put that in the original script.
You get the parachute on the car, of course.
Clearly, yes.
That's easy.
Somehow gets his Batmobile off the building rooftops, so that's another bonus. Then figures out how to save both Chase and Robin at the end with his bat bolos and stuff. So that's cool. Let's go into potential minuses.
You ever used a bolo of any sort?
I haven't.
Me
Have
either.
You?
No. I think
Maybe we should do
cool,
it. We should do. Maybe we'll do a video series that's not a podcast thing, but of us trying different real life versions.
That's maybe our TikTok series at some point. That'd be kind of cool, actually. Anyway, more later on that. I just literally just thought of it.
So let's see. Potential minuses. When he's in the office with Chase Meridian, he does ask her what she sees in bats when he should have recognized that that's a Rorschach, and he just gave away to Chase that he's got bats on his mind. So potentially, it's a very small minus. At the circus, Two-Face says that, if Batman doesn't come forward, that he'll kill everybody. So Bruce Wayne does yell, "I'm Batman," which is probably not the best strategy, but he is trying to save people. So I think I can give him some slack.
Most immediate thing he can do.
Yeah, Kilmer's Bruce is more concerned with saving people than he is with his secret identity. So I think heroism outweighs secret identity here. As it should.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Maybe his biggest minus is that he goes into investigate.
He cares
plots.
Too much.
He cares too much.
Sorry,
he's too compassionate of a Batman. I forgot where he ranked in heroism on our thing, but
I forgot too.
I think he did pretty well.
Probably,
so he does not account for the box getting turned back on when he goes to investigate it at the party, which I think is something we've talked about before, right? He goes to investigate it, he goes inside, but then Drew Barrymore turns it back on, and he ends up getting his brainwaves sucked out, and Nigma figures out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. He thinks it's safe because he has her disable part of it, and she gives him like the vial thing that powers it, but he doesn't account for the fact that she has her own spare that she uses to plug back in. Could he have known that? I don't think so, but it was a risk. But he also should have investigated too. So it's a risk that obviously bit him in the ass, but for what he knew at the time, you can't really blame him that much.
Yeah.
When he does do the shot of where he emerges from the flame, he kind of just stands there. And Two-Face is just like, why can't you just die? And he shoots him down. He could have gone for Two-Face at that point so that Two-Face didn't have the opportunity. He would have been dead there if it weren't for Robin. So
they needed. That's when he when the guy's on fire, right?
When he emerges
Batman's
from the
on fire.
flames and stuff, and he's standing there, right? Like
That's when
that's a
Bachelor
cool
said.
shot.
The Bachelor said that Schumacher said, "I need Batman on fire."
Right.
I remember
which is
this
cool.
part of the conversation. Yeah, that's. I think. I mean, if in a universe where this is all real and Batman is heroic, like super heroic, and a strategist, he would probably run towards the villain while on fire, which is an awesome visual. But I think that's also it's kind of a budget thing / safety thing, maybe, man. Like
well, you need Two-Face to try to take him out for the story too.
Yeah, you need him to take him out. You need to extinguish that fire on that stunt actor quickly. Like,
well, I don't think he's quite on fire. He's just emerged from the flames at that point. At least
there's fire on the
way it
suit,
looks in the
though,
movie.
right? Or no, there's no fire on the suit.
Him. It's
behind
him.
him. Oh, I thought
At
he
that
was on
point.
fire a little bit. His suit, anyway. All right. I was thinking maybe he's on fire a little bit. And God, if he ran towards Two-Face, that would have been kind of cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
So he just stands there after emerging from the fire, but he's just emerging. He's getting his wits about him.
He had some time, maybe, but these last two are like potential minuses, but they're very small, especially compared to what we've seen before.
I
like
mean,
Lewis
when you're
Wilson
emerging from fiery rubble, dude, I think I don't know. I give you a couple microseconds of leeway there. So
yeah, no, I agree. Again, a lot of this is me trying to, especially when flaws, sometimes there are ones that actually are there. Other times I'm just like, well, if we think from a strategic standpoint, maybe that wasn't the best idea.
Yeah.
So I would
What's
say
his
Kilmer
worst
ranks
one?
pretty well.
I need to hear the worst one again. In your opinion.
Going into, and again, we might give him some slack for this. So going into the box during the party where he ends up getting the brainwave sucked because he thought it was safe to go in because he saw Drew Barrymore take the thing.
She's like, this thing just has an off switch, right? Oh shit, man!
But he couldn't have known that she had a spare thing to plug in because he thought that he had completely like decommissioned it. Like she gives him the vial that powers it. He thinks the battery's out. It's not going to work, but she has a secret one that she puts in. He couldn't have really known that though.
What's his best one? What's his best?
His
merit?
best one is enticing dick. No, probably.
As always. Well, we know that.
I'd say the way he gets out of the safe, because this is. I might be wrong on this. Correct me in the comments. This might be the last time we've seen Batman get out of a death trap in live action.
That's interesting.
Right? Because I don't think Clooney
might
really
say that hole in Dark Knight Rises, maybe. It's a type of death trap, but it's not exactly the same.
It's not the same. It's not.
That's true.
Yeah,
I'm being
It's not quite
pedantic.
the same. Yeah.
I'm being a little pedantic just to clear us of a few comments.
He uses the guard's hearing aid to get out of it, and uses all the grappling hooks to return the safe and save the guard there. He also saves both Chase and Robin, but I think the opening is more impressive.
I have a score in mind, but I want you to go first. Go ahead.
I think I'll give him an A-.
I was going to give him an A too.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's do it. All right, so Kilmer gets an A.
Forever's pretty fucking good overall, dude.
With the characterization, I'm telling you, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Forever actually has a better Batman. Like, the Schumacher stuff gets a ton of shit, but the way that Batman was characterized is pretty fucking solid.
Bro, it is like it just got grouped in with Batman and Robin because of the nipples, same director, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's fucking really solid. And if we ever get that goddamn Schumacher cut, then we're really cooking with gas.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So Kilmer fares pretty well. What about his successor? Again, right now everybody's fared pretty well. So let's see what happens. Let's jump to Clooney, Mr. Bobblehead himself.
Fucking bobblehead Clooney, dude. This suit fucking sucks.
He also did it at the end of The Flash. He's just like,
bro.
When he looks at him.
Well, that's just him leaning in, which is awesome.
Maybe, yeah.
It's totally him leaning in. I think that's cool. The way that, I know. I just we're seeing the suits back to back again.
It's like the Lewis Wilson Robert Lowery thing, right?
Yeah, it's like, look, this suit's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Also, I gotta say, the yellowish orange in the back of the bat symbol is awesome.
It's awesome, yeah. And then this symbol is just there.
That symbol sucks. I'm not a fan of the cowl going into the goddamn symbol. I think that looks like shit. Doesn't go in there, does it? It goes.
Let me look at my Funko. I think it might.
Does it?
It might, but it's not. It's not as apparent. Like
it's
it
more
looks
pronounced than the other one.
Well, yeah, this one he's just got like a fucking he's got like a square thing that goes right into it.
I don't like that shit, dude. And like we've talked about this before, like sometimes they have, especially Superman, they have the cape going into the S symbol instead of from the shoulders. Like, dude, the symbol more or less needs to be free floating on the chest, dude. Like, I don't like it. You know what I mean? I don't like that when it's like shit going inside it.
This is interesting because I think it depends on the execution. Because technically, that's Keaton's, right? Because you can see it here, it goes into it. But the way that they made it look, it's fine. It looks great.
It does. Yeah, I think it's because it's surrounding it a little more. I think so. It looks more fluid. But fucking Clooney's, dude, it's just like. God, it's just like and the protruding part out from that. I don't know. It just looks like ass to me.
Yeah, it's funny. I hadn't really thought that much about that specific part between his neck and the symbol until you pointed it out, and I'm just like, that does look pretty bad. I'm
just not personally a fan of that. You know, nipples aside, we all talked about that for 30 years. But yeah, anyway, let's keep going. Strategy.
All right, strategy. So Clooney comes up with a plan to trap Mr. Freeze with the Wayne Diamonds. Also comes up with a plan to trick Poison Ivy by having Robin wear rubber lips and get info on Freeze's telescope.
You just have some fake lips of mine, huh? Just already have them, huh?
I still love the original script was the Mission Impossible thing where he was in disguise as Robin.
Honestly, it might be better in some ways, but anyway.
It might be,
it's just like, when'd you get the copy of my lips there? There's a robot chicken there somewhere, dude. Like...
Alfred, prepare the rubber dick lips.
Yes.
So
I'm just getting his lips copied while he sleeps.
Let's see. He's the one who has the idea to thaw out the city by relaying the sunlight. And when the telescope is taken out, he has the idea of having the satellites sort of rerouted to thaw the city out directly. So he helped save the day.
I like that.
And he knew to record Poison Ivy's confession that she had been the one to try to kill Nora. And he also saves Nora Freeze in order to not only save her life, but also get Mr. Freeze on his side and get the cure for McGregor syndrome, stage 1, which he then uses in order to save Alfred. So pretty good. Flaws, I gotta say, not great at fighting strategy. We did not rank Clooney very well as a great fighter. He tries to jump in and kick Mr. Freeze in the beginning and just bounces off of his armor, which he should have known was the case because look at Mr. Freeze. He's just clad head to toe in fucking metal. I don't know why he thought he could just jump kick him.
Let me just punch that steel real quick.
At one point, it looks like he tries to choke him out too, even though his neck is protected by armor. So,
yeah, it's terrible.
He does follow Mr. Freeze into the rocket, but doesn't seem to have much of a strategy in stopping him. And unlike Kilmer, he needs Robin to get him out to escape because his hands are frozen. Does not really show any signs of being an escape artist. Whereas I feel like if that were Kilmer, he would have figured something out based off of what we saw in the bank vault in Forever.
Right.
This is due to scenes being cut, but it seems like Batman, Robin, and Batgirl are in such a hurry to stop Mr. Freeze, who's freezing the city, that they change outfits and change into different suits before they go out.
Oh,
It obviously it's explained in deleted material that it's meant to be suits that are resistant to the cold. So that's why, but that's not in the movie, so we can't really count that. It just kind of comes off as just like Mr. Freeze is destroying the city. Let's change outfits. So
right.
So minuses on this one. Pretty good with the pluses. Minuses though, it's kind of hard for me to pick one that is. I guess the outfit one isn't that bad of a thing because it was supposed to be explained. The fighting one, even when your adrenaline's up, you would feel like Batman would kind of know, like, hey, I can't do X, Y, and Z because he's got the metal, so I have to adapt and go for weaknesses, which he never really does.
They wanted silly Adam West action, but it was too much.
Yeah. So it's also kind of on a scale, right? Because he does have pluses. It's not like he's, I don't think he's world's greatest dumbass.
Nah.
But he seems like it in comparison to everyone else because it seems like a more egregious error than everyone else's stuff that we've covered so far.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
In terms of where to put him,
know.
it's between B and C, I think.
Let's just give him a C.
Yeah. All right. Let's put him there under Lewis Wilson. So, not great with strategy, who is much better as a detective and with heroism. All right, Let's go into the more modern guys with Christian Bale. There's a lot here because this is the first time because I didn't count Adam West's TV show, and Keaton was not the main character in The Flash. Some would argue he's not ever the main character, but he was definitely not the main character in The Flash. So Bale is in 3 movies that has a lot of shit. So let's go by bit. There's a lot of pluses here. So he steals from himself when he's training, even before he's Batman. So he steals from himself, so it's not technically a crime while he's learning to be a criminal. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
He outthinks Ra's al Ghul twice in this movie, which is great because he knows that he can't defeat Ra's al Ghul in hand-to-hand combat. I know some people are just like, he's a great fighter because he defeated Ra's al Ghul. Dude never defeated Ra's al Ghul in a fight. He always lost to him. He always had to outthink him.
Right.
So he outthinks Ra's al Ghul during the training exercise by cutting the other League of Shadows members. We've had debates on him setting the monastery on fire, but you can't argue that it was a good strategy to at least get out of having to kill the dude.
They're the top trained. Again, I'm going to say this again for fucking everybody. They're the top trained ninjas in the fucking world in this story. What is one of the number one things in a ninja repertoire? The art of escape. They can escape. It's fine.
I think the easiest way that Nolan could have gotten around it is just not show the guys getting blown up. You just see them flee, and then the place blows up, and then it's up to you to determine whether or not anyone actually died.
A couple guys died. All right, we'll give it to them.
People survived because they showed up later on in the third act. So it's not like all the League of Assassins or League of Shadows in this case got killed because they show up. And they show up in The Dark Knight Rises too.
How many of them died? No, I'm just kidding. But I guess there is that shot. It does kind of ruin it. But I don't know, man. Yeah, it wasn't great. I don't know. Most of them escaped. Maybe I'll come around on it, especially because the internet's going to hound me if I don't. But
some have argued that the guy he was trying to protect or get out of killing probably died out of that because the guy's hands were bound. But
that was bad.
We don't know for sure.
That's like, it seems like they planned like an awesome, action sequence at the monastery, but they didn't know quite how to get there. Like they know they wanted to blow it up, but they have, the way they get to blowing it up is, him like killing a few ninjas.
Right. So he does use his fear gas on Crane as an interrogation technique. which we thought was always awesome. Uses bats to cover to get him out of Arkham. Prepares the antidote for mass production against the fear gas using Gordon, Rachel, and Lucius's help. Figures out that Roz is targeting the central hub at Wayne Tower, and defeats Roz on the train by outthinking him, using Gordon to blow up part of the bridge. Also outwits Mr. Earl in buying his own company back. So, pretty good for a rookie Batman. The Dark Knight knows how to pounce on Scarecrow, who's trying to get away in the van, by pouncing from the parking garage, timing it perfectly. Helps Gordon track the mob with irradiated bills, call back to Robert Lowery. Plans out how to extradite Lau by using Lucius Fox as the plant, putting the cell phone to cut off all the communications there. Has electricity in his cowl to prevent him from getting unmasked by the Joker, or Joker's man. Strategically saves Mr. Reese by crashing his car into
That's
it and
your
protecting
favorite.
his identity. That's one of my favorites, yeah. Like, again,
It is good.
Some of my favorite moments in The Dark Knight are ones that people do not list. But
It's good. It's a good scene.
it's great. Builds the cell phone surveillance device and rescues the hostages and stops the cops from killing the wrong people without a single life lost. Again, one of my other favorites. Dark Knight Rises deliberately goes to the hospital where Gordon is staying and recovering from injuries from Bane so that Bruce can see him. Has a good escape strategy to escape from the cops in the car chase, or really the Batpod case in this case. Has the clean slate in advance to keep it out of the wrong hands. Strategizes by getting captured when he returns to Gotham so that he and Catwoman can get Lucius Fox out and get his equipment. Strategizes in blocking the signal to prevent Bane from blowing up the city. Defeats Bane by going up against his mask and severing the connection so that he can't get the anesthetic. Sends the missiles against him into one of the tumblers. Fixes the autopilot on the Bat on his own and escapes from the Bat before it detonates and fakes his death. So, pretty cool. Good displays of strategy. Even more displays, I would say, than some of his predecessors. Let's go into minuses. So this has been tough for me because he has so many pluses, but the minuses I can't ignore. So in Begins, he's not quite the best at thinking about how to avoid suspicion yet. Maybe it's because he's a rookie, but the part where he's talking to Lucius, he kind of just lies about the whole spelunking thing, which is sort of a shitty lie, and it comes off as one. Needs Alfred to tell him to order large quantities of the Bat Cowl in order to avert suspicion, and kind of needs Alfred to tell him to take on the Playboy persona. You could argue that it's his obsession about being Batman that prevents him from thinking about these things, but this version already seems determined to have a separate identity from the beginning, as he tells Alfred on the plane. Thinks about being a bat after he gets swarmed by the bats in the Batcave, but then doesn't think to get wings for the memory cloth until he fucks up jumping across the roof after talking to Gordon. And then last thing is, I don't really think it's that smart for Batman to pass his tech to a kid in the Narrows. It was kind of a nice, cute, heroic moment, but it might bite him in the ass later, especially when that kid turns out to be King Joffrey.
Yes, exactly.
So, The Dark Knight. Okay, this is one of the things that drove me fucking nuts, because we know my stance on the Dark Knight suit. But they tried to put an in-universe explanation that reflected the real world, except it kind of ruins Batman as a strategist, because Lucius is like, you need to learn to turn your head. But I'm just like, wait, this guy's been Batman for a year, and now he's figuring out he needs to turn his head? He couldn't have figured that the first time?
I didn't need that meta moment also.
Yeah.
Like, just, most people, like, I think about my mom and like everybody like that, like, they don't know what they're even talking about, dude. It's not a point that needs to be made.
No. Like, again, because people were just like, oh, they actually explained the suit change. And I'm just like, you ate up screen time that didn't need to be eaten up. You could have just, again, I'm not a fan of the suit, but he could have just shown up in the new suit, because that's what happens between every superhero movie, is that they show up in another suit because they want to sell more toys. It's fine. Batman's going to upgrade his gear. You don't need much more of an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So he does have try to set aside an alibi before going to Hong Kong by basically taking all the ballerinas on a boat, which is cool. It makes sense because he's famous for, everyone thinks he's doing this. They don't think that he's over in Hong Kong. I don't think it quite works, though, because everyone sees him leave the boat. So none of the ballerinas can really say that he was there with them the whole time.
That is true, but they don't know what he's going to do, though, right?
They don't know what he's going to do, but if anyone asked, they'd be like, well, he did disappear for like 3 days. You know?
I guess so. You know, they don't know he's going to Hong Kong or whatever.
They don't know he's going to Hong Kong, but they know he's not there because everyone sees him leave. He doesn't sneak out in the middle of the night.
He should have done that.
They see him leave. Yeah,
should have done that. I don't know why they didn't do a night shoot on that one. That would have been an easy fix.
When he is in Hong Kong, supposedly incognito, he's just wearing sunglasses.
I don't think he's gonna get an S, dude.
Yeah, which is tough because he has so many S tier moments with strategy.
Yeah,
you know, like the way that he defeats Ra's al Ghul is still, I think, one of the best displays of strategy or Batman outthinking the main villain in the third act.
Yeah,
but we've got all this other stuff. This one I might let slide because again, secret identity is not the priority when it comes to saving lives. But people do see him escape into that danger room thing for him to change into being Batman. But again, protecting the guests is more important at that point. Mm-hmm. Refuses to kill Joker, which is good on the street, but then crashes his own bat cycle and knocks himself unconscious. Feels like he could have just stopped the bat pod or something. Doesn't seem like a great strategy. He knocked himself the fuck out at that point. If Gordon wasn't around, they would have found something to do with him. And then fighting strategy-wise, his idea of defusing Two-Face's hostage situation at the end is to get himself shot and then tackle both Harvey and the kid off the building, leading to Harvey's death. He does save the kid, but
it's maybe the most egregious.
It feels like you couldn't have thought of anything else. You don't have any batarangs that you could have thrown at Harvey.
Right.
You know? Like maybe he could have thrown the batarang, he lets go of the kid, and then he accidentally falls off the rooftop or something. Like, it still would have had the same result, but it would have seemed smarter. Just the idea of you're going to tackle all these people into a more dangerous situation, even more precarious.
Yeah.
Always felt weird to me. All right, so let's go to The Dark Knight Rises. This is maybe more of a heroism thing, but he kind of just lets his company die out by ignoring it. To be fair, yes, he's retired as Batman, but he's also retired as Bruce Wayne for some reason in this. I know it's explained that he's depressed over Rachel's death, but it's been 8 years. He ends up trusting Miranda Tate in taking over Wayne Enterprises when he barely knows her. He does not sleep with her yet. So maybe maybe you could explain it where like he wanted to sleep with her, and that was his way to do it. So from a strategy perspective, that's a plus because it worked. But
strategy for getting into her shorts.
But
okay,
he does literally hand his company to the main villain.
Yeah, that wasn't good. It's again like his weakness is women. Yeah.
Yeah. Along those lines, he doesn't consider that Selena Kyle, known cat thief, known criminal, is going to trap him and leading him to Bane. And so she does trap him, and that's how he gets his back broken. And then when he comes back, he trusts her again, mainly because he sees her rescue a child, and then he decides that, you must be a good person. She also doesn't even apologize.
He might be dropping lower than A at this point for me.
Yeah. Somebody pointed this out, but look, he might not have known that Bane's mask had the anesthetic, but you could at least make a strategic guess that it's there for some sort of purpose.
Yeah, do it in the first fight, right?
Yeah. Or try to go for it just to see or something. Main strategy against Bane is to try to beat him when he first faces off against him, rather than try to outthink him. So notice how like he just kind of angrily tries to fight him the whole time. He couldn't even beat Ra's al Ghul. So like you don't have the same excuses in Nightfall, where Batman's worn down by all the other Arkham inmates, and Bane shows up when Bruce is tired as fuck and not even in the suit. He only really tries his gadgets twice on Bane. The main thing that seemed smart was he turned off the lights, but he kind of did it way too late. And then the how it should have ended guys pointed out that Batman does reveal that he has tranquilizer darts later on in the movie. So he could have tried to use 1 million of those on Bane at that point.
Yeah, it's true. I think that the overall way I read that first fight with Bane was his anger had led to hubris in a sense, right? He was blinded by his own anger and just wanted to beat a motherfucker.
Yeah.
With his bare hand, with his gloved hands.
With his gloved hands, yeah.
So, but
it's not a great strategy because it's like
it's a bad. Huge. It blinded him from actual good strategy. So, yeah. I mean, it was not great. I think that was. I could see what they were trying to go for with that first scene because he's yelling and screaming and
and
Bane's in control
for that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of emotional thing behind it, so it makes sense. But yeah, strategy wise, it's not that good. In the comics, he probably just would have use a blowgun. I don't know what he would have done with the tranquilizers, or do something with that.
Or he would try to use them, and Bane's just like, "Oh, you think those work on me?" And he just pulls them out, and then the fight continues.
That would have been sick, actually.
Yeah.
Yes. Your syringes betray you, Mr. Wayne.
Let's see. Batman. This is famously criticized with the whole he comes back and he has the fire bat. And people are just like, okay, he spent more time putting the gasoline there than he was saving people. But another way you could argue
that Begins, right? That was Batman Begins?
This is Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, Dark Knight Rises. Oh, my God.
When he comes back to Gotham after escaping.
They did that in 2013 or whatever?
In 2012, yeah.
2012?
Seems like a little outdated, right? Because you already had The Crow, Daredevil 2003.
Early 2000s,
Punisher.
Like every fucking movie was doing it, right?
Jane Punisher in 2004 does that.
We don't need that again, bro. 2013 is way late for that.
Yeah, and also, right, from a strategic standpoint, what does he gain by tipping off Bane that he's back? Because he could have just saved the day and surprised Bane, the next day.
It's a Hollywood machine, man. I don't know.
Yeah, let's see. After he's stabbed by Talia, he kind of gives up here, doesn't really fight back against Bane. If Selina hadn't shown up, Bane would have for sure killed him. Also, his way of stopping a truck with a nuclear bomb at it is to shoot the fuck out of it and cause it to crash with Gordon in the back.
Oh my God!
I'm not saying that I have a better idea. But I am saying that Batman probably should have a better idea.
Yeah, shooting a fucking nuke? Are you kidding me?
So,
dude, we're dropping lower than B now.
Yeah.
If you're shooting at nukes, I don't know, man. I can't rank you very highly.
Yeah,
it's worse than the radium gun thing. Goyer did watch those.
It is tough because he has S tier strategic moments. I have to give him that, but it's like he falls a lot due to the minuses. So he went from S going down through it. I'm giving him a C.
Yeah, I think maybe a C, dude.
All right.
He sucks. I'm just kidding. I want to just call.
He ranked highly in other stuff, I think.
I want to say everybody sucks today. I don't know why.
All right, well, let's go. We got 2 more guys to go. All right. Ben Affleck.
I'm just kidding.
All right, Ben Affleck.
That guy.
Yeah, this
Look
guy.
at that suit. Right. God damn.
The Cal doesn't go into that symbol.
See, again, right? Look, that fucking shit stops before the goddamn ears. See that? That's how you do it.
Should be. Yeah. Okay, let's go into pluses from across the Snyder films. To be fair, I mean, I didn't find a lot of strategic stuff in general with it. I think just the intelligence of Batman was not really what... maybe that just wasn't what was important at the time. I just couldn't find a lot. But
you couldn't find a lot about his strategy.
Well, let's see. So he does know enough strategy to tell the fighter, because he's in that fight club thing.
He did have a bat crab vehicle.
Yeah, that's true. So
I don't know what for.
So PBS, he tells the strategy to the fighter on how to beat the other guy, and the guy wins. So clearly he knows fighting strategy, as we've seen in his fights. So it's not like he doesn't have any strategy. When he does have the fight with Superman, he booby traps the area to prep for the fight with Superman and is able to lure Superman towards the kryptonite spear that he had planted earlier. So, pretty good. He does strategize luring Doomsday to an abandoned area so that they can use the kryptonite spear against it. You know what? I take back what I said. That is pretty good, actually. So I guess what he has are not a lot of instances, but the instances that he has are pretty strong. In the Justice League movies, both the Snyder Cut and the theatrical cut, he does seem to be the one to figure out taking the Mother Box and Superman's body to the Kryptonian ship will resurrect him. And he does figure out in the Snyder Cut that Steppenwolf's defensive dome has a flaw in it, and that if you take out the tower, the dome will fall. And so he strategizes that's how they'll do it. And he also knows that at some point Flash will run the fastest he's gone in order to send Victor into the Mother Box. So he does strategize the plan for the end. And he is prepared in both versions with the Batmobile inside the Flying Fox vehicle. And then for the Flash, obviously he's not in that much of it, but there is a cool moment where he is able to use one of his gadgets to reroute the criminals so that they don't crash into a bunch of kids getting out of a school bus. Cool moment. So that is Affleck using his brain. Let's talk about minuses. BVS. The first time we see him in costume is when a cop is finding the criminal he just branded, and the cop turns around and he's been hiding in the corner the whole time. He didn't really need to be in the corner. He could have just left, though.
This is when he's like on the wall.
Yeah, it's a really weird first
I found
way
that
for us to
awkward
see
as hell. Like this,
it is,
you didn't find a better way to do this?
Like, a shot like what we're seeing here could have been an amazing first shot of Batman in this universe.
He turns around and it's just Batman's pupils staring him in the fucking eye. I don't know, dude. Yeah, it would have... Especially this big-ass motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, I thought... That very fucking second I saw that shot, I was just like... You know, it just wasn't... Okay. It just wasn't... It wasn't good, dude. I don't know. I mean, all right, anyway, moving on.
Moving on. Okay, we've brought this up before, I think. But he did put a tracker on the truck that had kryptonite. And instead of just letting the tracker go to the hideout, he does try to go after it. Now, maybe he's just trying to get to what they've got with the kryptonite. But he doesn't just go after it. He destroys parts of the truck that he's tracking, including his own, potentially his own tracker. He's lucky that he didn't destroy it. He does not destroy it, though, so you could argue technically it still worked. But why couldn't you have just let it go to where he needed to go and then attack LexCorp, which is what he ends up doing anyway?
Yeah.
Let's see. Superman, in the fight with Superman, he probably shouldn't be walking up to Superman and letting him throw him around. He should have just hit him with kryptonite bombs first. Seems to be the way to go.
Right.
Also does not seem to account for the kryptonite bomb wearing off. He seems to pause at one point during kicking him down and keeps punching at Superman when it wears off, almost like not realizing that that's going to happen.
His rage, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Next thing might be controversial, might be a hot take on it. We love the warehouse scene. Everybody loves the warehouse scene from a fight perspective. However, from a strategic viewpoint, was that really the best way to get Martha out? Because as epic as it is, KGB's, the Anatoly guy, could have easily found like, oh, Batman's here? Boom. Die, Martha.
That is true, dude. That is true.
Jackson Putnam, one of our fans, pointed this out, saying that Batman could have easily scouted it out and tracked where Martha Kent was and confronted Anatoly there, gotten her out, and then not have to fight 20 million dudes first and rely on the guy not burning Martha to death.
I mean, look, we have a generation or two now that have the Predator missions on Arkham games, right?
Yeah.
So, like, there's...
That's why that's there.
What are they called when they're not the action ones, where the beat 'em up segments and the Predator segments? He chose the beat 'em up segment, and it probably should have been a Predator segment. They wanted an action set piece. He made the best fight scene Batman's ever done. So I get it, but yeah, like overall logic, I don't know. And again, also it would be cool, and hopefully Matt Reeves does more of this. I think especially if it's going to be anybody, it'll be him. where they might actually not do an action scene and choose a predator scene, choose a sneaking around scene, choose, that tension. I don't know, like a thriller or whatever, spy thriller. Can he make it through the enemy base or whatever, like that kind of thing. Sneaking around as Batman or in disguise, or maybe a little bit of both. So it would be cool to see more of that. People kind of forget about the spy aspect of this whole deal, I think.
Yeah, because like the closest we got was like maybe the dock sequence in Batman Begins, but that was from the criminal's perspective. What you're describing, for those who might be wondering, like, isn't he what Andrew's talking about from Batman Begins? No, not really, because in the Predator missions, right? Like, you're from Batman's perspective and trying not to get caught. And you're seeing him sneak around and shit.
That's true.
I don't think we've really seen that. Yeah. I think it's always been from the criminal's perspective.
Like, the one shot of that guy getting pulled up was really cool in Batman Begins, but I feel like I'm getting so picky now, dude. It's unbelievable. But I do feel like
byproduct of the show.
Yeah, it is. I have to see it again, but I feel like maybe because I've seen it better in the games at this point or something. Like it was cool. It was definitely like it was cool, but I feel like it could have been better. I feel so shitty for saying that. There's something about it that could have been better. I don't know what it is. I have to take a look.
We're talking about the Begins.
The Begins dock sequence. Like
it was,
I mean, more. There wasn't even more scenes of him snagging dudes up. We just get one, right? Or like a really quick. I don't know what it was.
There's a few, but there's so many quick cuts, and you don't really see what the fuck is going on when he's beating up on them. And it's a cool idea. It's just execution could have been better.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have to. Maybe it's the Predator stuff from Arkham, but they need to. Yeah. It would be cool to be like, well, him strategize that too. Like, if I string this guy up, those two dudes will see. So I have to do this and that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like the internal logic and the strategy of the whole Predator mission could be an interesting thing to put to film.
Yeah.
But his fight was badass.
Yeah, it is.
Richard Citrone, and I've met him. He's really awesome. He's a cool dude. Et cetera, et cetera. That's all I'll say about that.
Yep. All right, so Justice League, in the Whedon version, there's an opening with Holt McElhaney's robber, which has a lot of strategic faux pas. One is that he lets the robber see him and take a shot at him. The other is that he says Alfred's name in front of the robber, which definitely got criticized. And he doesn't even arrest the guy.
Yeah.
Catches the guy in the act, doesn't even arrest him. Going into the Snyder Cut, it does not seem that he initiates the main plan in the Batcave when Flash asks, I think. Wait, no. Oh, no. This is in the sewers, right? Wonder Woman's the one who comes up with it. But that's not really a minus. It's just Wonder Woman's the one who said something. Seems more emotional than logical when he's pushing Flash and Cyborg to resurrect Superman in the Snyder Cut. That seems to be the point, though, because he does have that line about operating more on faith than on reason, especially when it comes to Superman. However, in both cuts, when Superman is coming for him, because Superman is all like, he's all fucked up from coming back from the dead, Batman's strategy is to stand there and then try to talk him out of it. He doesn't really have much to go up against Superman. I guess he doesn't want to fight him this time, which I get, but he doesn't really have much. And in the Snyder Cut version, he doesn't really have a contingency plan on what to do in case Superman returns bad. Whereas in the Whedon Cut, he did, with the Lois Lane being his contingency, which ends up working. So, in both versions, he does recruit as Bruce Wayne rather than Batman, which seems a little weird, considering that, like, what if these guys are not as heroic as they actually turned out to be? But you could argue that it ended up working, since they do end up joining. And then in last one is in the Flash. He's trying to stop Falcone's men, who have basically captured a virus. He does end up crashing the truck that has the virus in it, and needs Wonder Woman to get him out of there before the virus destroys all of Gotham City. So he could have had some sort of plan for that. It didn't seem like he did, though. It seemed like his main idea was to beat the shit out of them on the truck and crash the truck in the bridge or something. I don't think he planned to. Yeah, I don't think he planned to crash the truck, but he didn't really do much to stop it either. And it didn't seem like he had much of a plan once he got inside the truck to get the virus. So, where do we go with this one? Feels like this is not going to be, obviously not S or A.
No.
Probably not B.
Let's boil it down again. What's his best merit and his worst demerit?
I'd say his best merit. His best merit for sure is in BVS. Yeah, it would be how... Okay, well, this kind of sucks too because it's up against Superman, who's not even a bad guy. But, like, his best would be probably how he booby-trapped the area and was able to lead Superman towards the kryptonite spear.
That was cool. That
is cool. Now, you could also argue, well, why didn't he just have the kryptonite spear there and just kill him there if he wanted to kill him? But
I think he knew. I don't know. I feel like he knew it was going to be a process.
Yeah. So
you got to wear his ass down. I mean, but then again, the kryptonite would wear him down. So I don't know. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
They needed to fucking draw out a whole fucking sequence, dude.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
You could say the warehouse one was kind of a strategic faux pas, but clearly it worked because he saved her ass and killed everyone else. So I can't really count that against him. It's just something that was like a strategic flaw. So I would say out of these, strategic-wise... Because even him destroying kind of the truck with the tracker on it, he technically didn't really destroy the tracker, and it still ended up working. So out of something that didn't really work so well, where he kind of got lucky, probably not having a contingency plan with Superman coming back bad.
I'll do it again. I have something in mind. What's yours?
You want me to say?
Yeah.
Mine first?
Mm-hmm.
I've got him pre-written down. But before we got into this, I sort of wrote down the different scores that I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I have him here at C-.
Wow, that bad. I was doing B- actually. All right.
Ooh. Let's do
C- is pretty bad. I mean, he's not great.
Well, it's not great. I will... Perhaps I'm too harsh on you, Batfleck, considering that like some of the big minuses are ones that still worked, right? Like the tracker thing, the warehouse sequence. So
it's because he has heart.
I'm amenable to it going up. So let's put him. Well, it wouldn't be C-. So your B- raises that up. So why don't we just put him at C+ above Clooney, but under Wilson?
Sure.
All right. I think that works. All right. Let's go into the last guy. Robert Pattinson. So we finally made it to the latest version. Let's go into it. So we have, similar to Keaton, urban legend type of tactic with the slow walk intimidation technique, which he ends up using on the gang in the beginning, as well as Coulson.
People were saying that movie was 3 hours because of how slow he walked. Oh, man.
See, the other part is he's the only one that has this third disguise as the Drifter to help him blend in with crowds, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
He has Selena go into the underground club, the 44 Below, to listen into her, deliberately goes to the mayor's funeral to see if he can end up seeing or identifying the Riddler there, has a wingsuit prepared to help him escape, uses the Batmobile to save Catwoman and Gordon from Penguin and his men in order to distract them, does the Val Kilmer Batman Forever empty elevator trick at the Iceberg Lounge when they open the elevator and they find that he's not there, except he's hiding, and he takes them down. Sets the sticky bomb onto the fire extinguisher at the end in order to create smoke during the finale.
Yeah, that was cool.
Is prepared with an adrenaline shot to inject himself when he's all fucked up from getting shot by a shotgun, but gives himself the extra boost in order to save Selena, and figures out how to save everybody in the stadium from the electricity, from like that big, basically electrical cable that's going off. So, pretty good. Strategic flaws. The Drifter thing is cool. there is a downside to it, which is how long it must take for him to change, is what I think. If you look at this costume,
I give that away to movie
suspension
magic,
of disbelief.
Though. That falls into my suspension. Yeah.
You've brought this up before. Do you consider it to be a strategic flaw that he tries to go in through the front door of the Iceberg Lounge, or is that just a preference for a more stealthy Batman?
I didn't like that much. I have to see it again. Maybe I've seen it twice. I saw it twice in the theater. Mm-hmm. Not at home yet, but like I don't know. I just wish it's me wanting him to be a ninja more, And right. I know that's not really planted in this continuity too much yet, but like going through the front. I mean, maybe he just wanted to just didn't give a fuck. He just cowboyed up on that one. I don't know what it is, mm-hmm. but it's a demerit for me. I think maybe not
as
a
huge strategy.
One. As a strat. I mean, what's a better strategy, doing that, or I mean, what's the strategy to that?
Well, he's just there to talk to Penguin, right?
As Batman.
So, mm-hmm. And it's
that's true.
He knows where Iceberg Lounge and Penguin. He knows who Penguin is and where the Iceberg Lounge is, but I don't think he's been in there before. Yeah, I don't think.
I think it would have been better if he just showed up. Actually, we don't need to see him at the front door. I don't know.
Right, but is that a strategic demerit, or is that just a preference in the movie? That's kind of where I'm just like,
I know what you're saying. It's not as bad because he's not there to fight. He's there to just talk with Penguin, huh?
Yeah, he's just there to question him.
So it's not. I mean, yeah, it's not as bad as it could be, I guess. But
yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is that's not really a strategic demerit. It's just something that you would have preferred the stealth ninja stuff, but that's not necessarily a strategic demerit when it comes to what he was trying to do.
I guess so. I don't know. I guess I don't like that visual too much. I don't know what it is, but mm-hmm. Yeah, you're talking me into it. I don't know. It's fine. I won't count it against him, maybe.
All right. Let's go into the other stuff that I got. We have...
You're presenting your case. You should have been a lawyer, man.
Well, I just wasn't sure as well, because I know you didn't like that part, but I'm like, but is it because you don't like the strategy, or is that just because you prefer more stealth stuff? And I think we're coming to the conclusions just more because of stealth stuff.
That's mainly it. Yeah, I mean, that was my thing, but yeah, I forgot he just goes in to question him.
Yeah.
Man, I want to see more of that Penguin. Anyway.
It looks like it might be in the fall next year.
I mean, yeah, we got to get through these strikes at the time of this recording.
Yep.
It'll probably be done by the time this releases.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
A lot of people criticize Batman chasing after Penguin on the freeway as a bad move, but guys also driving against traffic and endangering lives before Batman even catches up to him on the freeway. So I've always kind of just been... We've talked about this before in the heroism.
This is not a demerit. Yeah, I think you taught me through this one as well.
Yeah.
I was never really against this shit anyway. I don't know.
It didn't stick out to me in the theater until people were just going apeshit on the internet.
Like, oh my god, dude, fucking...
It's Man of Steel 2.0.
I don't know. I mean, maybe for you it felt like that, but Man of Steel's, like... That whole thing was so palpable, dude.
It was... Yeah, Man of Steel was obviously bigger.
Yeah, that was felt bigger to you too, right?
Like Man of Steel definitely made a bigger deal out of that. People made a bigger deal out of that movie's take on that. I'm just saying that, like, if there was a possible Batman equivalent, it would probably be this one. I mean, in terms of just destruction, not necessarily in terms of controversy, but in terms of just like, hero could have prevented all this destruction type of argument. This is probably the Batman equivalent.
Real quick, I haven't done a tangent this whole episode, but like the Man of Steel thing,
yeah,
like I feel like because Superman is supposed to be a Jesus archetype, well, it's supposed to be Moses, but you know what I mean, like this image of perfection kind of thing. If he makes any mistake, it becomes a bigger deal in the public eye. It's a much bigger thing. Like Batman actually has more leeway in some way because he's a dark motherfucker. He can get away with some shit. Superman's supposed to be perfect. I mean, I'm not saying he's supposed to be, but I'm saying that's what that's the standard many people hold him to, which I think is incorrect anyway, but that's the standard for many people in their eyes. So whenever you see city destruction, especially with Man of Steel, that was like such an egregious error. But anyway, back to Batman. He has more leeway than Superman for sure. With these kind of things. So, what's the next one? What we got?
This one, I'm like, if we have to count this against Batfleck, we kind of have to do that against Pattinson too. But a similar thing with the warehouse sequence, right? Where like in the Batman, right? He knows that Selina's going after Falcone.
Yeah.
He knows where Falcone's place is now because he's been there as Bruce Wayne. He knows the Iceberg Lounge in and out because he's been there as Batman, as Bruce Wayne, and through Selina's eyes. Yet he changes from the Batman into the Drifter to get into the Iceberg Lounge, to then shut off the electricity to go up to there to prevent Selina from killing Falcone when he could have located Falcone's window and just prevented it from there because he knows where everybody is now.
I think there was a lot cut around that too, man. Like, they said they cut a bunch. I don't know. I just get that vibe. Not that it shouldn't really matter. And I don't know what I'm saying, but well, anyway, I felt the editing was a little rough in that section too. Maybe I don't know what it was. Yeah. Something was a little off to me around there.
Yeah, it's a cool sequence, but when you think about it, just like he didn't need to have to go through all these guys and do all that. He could have just crashed through the window, stopped Selina from killing Falcone and taking Falcone out.
I think so too. Man, like the Batman, I feel like it's good overall, but it has like a lot of errors in it, dude. Like we've talked. We don't have to get into all of them now, but
so
like
all of these,
all of them do. And I think mainly it's the movie. It's the only Bat movie I've seen post doing this podcast, like live action.
That's true too.
So I went into this, saw it with you too, and like we saw it with my buddy Joey from the old podcast, SuperHousePodcast. Anyway, it's like, so maybe I was just going in super analytical, but I think the main thing though is like that endeavor is so worthwhile, even though we made mistakes. Matt Reeves, like the endeavor to make a detective Batman, even though he didn't make the best detective story ever, it's a very worthwhile endeavor. And he just needs to keep doing it. Even you know what I mean? I'm so glad they got another one.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so where do we rank him on this? We don't really have a lot of minuses here, other than maybe the last one, and even then, if we've been letting guys slide due to the outcome, he still stopped Selina from killing Falcone. So
yeah, it's true.
It's not like it didn't work. It still worked.
So
there's not really a lot to demerit.
Could be an A, man. I think maybe an A. Because the strategy goes along with the detective work. And that's like his whole deal more than the others.
Do we put him above Kilmer? Let's see. Kilmer,
I think.
No. Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know. I'll let you decide that.
Let's review. Actually, let me bring him back. I can't. Wait, hold on. I can't. He's the dumbass.
No.
Hold on. Let me just put him here real quick. So, let's see. Kilmer talked about enticing Dick. The guard's hearing aid. Outwits Two-Face thing.
What's Pattinson's worst thing again?
Pattinson's worst thing, based on what we determined, was not having the best strategy to try to stop Selina from killing Falcone. But it still ended up working out. And then Kilmer's worst was not accounting for Drew Barrymore being able to turn on the device when he went in there. And when she did turn it on, Riddler found out his secret identity, then attacked him and shot him, and had Two-Face shoot him. So he had a worse outcome due to that mistake. But also, he couldn't have really known that she was going to be able to do that.
Okay.
So maybe it's kind of a wash on that. Out of the two, it's funny because they both do the empty elevator trick.
That's funny.
So that is cool.
It's a toss up, dude.
It's a toss up.
Whoever wins by a hair.
Yeah, and this is not going to be Pattinson's only movie, so it could be one where he goes up or goes down if they fuck it up. But,
they've had a lot of time to think about this, man. Hopefully they figure it out, dude.
Yeah.
Did they give our boy Mattson Tomlin a more of a role in this one too? This new one.
Yeah, because it sounds like he actually might be credited for this one. So
yeah,
that'd be good. Let's keep him here with the possibility of him going up. Let's say that they're tied.
Okay, that's fine. I'm
all
okay
right, so
with
this is what we got. Wow, so Bale's the last one on this. I was not expecting. It sucks too because he has so many S tier moments. So overall, most of these guys are pretty good.
We could
strategy.
Update later. It's fine. We might feel different on another day.
We might. People in the comment section are just fucking screaming at this point. All right, so
this is not set in stone, guys.
We can change our minds next week.
Hate to break it to you.
So we got Bale at the bottom at C-. Nobody was world's greatest dumbass though. Even if sometimes they made world's greatest dumbass mistakes. Clooney then is above that, and then Affleck at the top of the C range. Then at B, Lewis Wilson, Robert Lowery above him, Michael Keaton above him. Then at A, we've got Robert Pattinson. Then above him is Val Kilmer. And then world's greatest strategist, S tier, no big surprise, Adam West.
As usual. So,
no regrets on these.
He gets the log for being shitty. It's terrible at being shitty.
So, thanks everyone for this. And that is superhero stuff you should know.
Coming soon from Newverse Creative.
Riddle me this, Fred! What is everything to someone and nothing to everyone else? Your mind.
In an uncertain world, in a chaotic time, justice wears a mask.
Batman does not kill? What if those slain during his fight with Jack Napier, the Joker?
Love is a game.
Let's just say I could write a heck of a paper on why a grown man dresses up like a flying rodent.
Bats aren't rodents, Dr. Meridian.
Power is a machine.
Question marks, Mr. Wayne? My work raises too many question marks! Here's one for you. Why hasn't anybody put you in your place?
And revenge is a trap.
The bat must die.
Courage now.
Let's save your bat butt back there. I think a little appreciation is in order.
Truth always.
Who's the boy wonder, Batman?
Experience the original Batman forever. Finally performed in the style of the Burtonverse.
I see without seeing. To me, darkness is as clear as daylight. What am I?
Batman 3, based on the screenplay by Lee and Janet Scott Batchelor with Akiva Goldsman. Adapted by Ben Wan from Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
My parents were murdered in front of me. I was just a kid. I can't remember exactly what happened. But now there's a new element. A red leather book.
Coming soon.
Big thanks to Dan for gathering these visuals, as well as the visuals for the tier maker. Let's go into the comments section for this week. Camden likes our idea, our pitch for a young Bruce Wayne series focusing on the training. Camden says, there definitely should be a Bruce Wayne-centered series. I never liked the idea that just Alfred raised him from when the Waynes were murdered. I prefer Bruce being adopted by his uncle, Uncle Phil, who is the industrialist that lives in Wayne Manor. Thomas Wayne just lives comfortably off
Phil, is it?
Of the Wayne Trust Fund. It is.
Is it really? Oh,
I know where Fresh Prince got it from.
Oh, no, dude. That's awesome, actually.
Yes. So, thanks, Camden. Let us know who you want us to cast as Uncle Phil for this TV show.
Man. That's awesome. Yes, thank you.
Clearly, it's going to be James Avery. All right, so...
Well, he's dead, but yeah.
We'll resurrect him just for this.
We'll put him in the Lazarus pit for that.
Yeah. Tyler says...
I wanted to be Shredder again.
Oh, yeah,
why did you bring me back for this shit?
Chip Zdarsky's The Night series, the comic series, is the perfect blueprint for a miniseries, or you could expand it into a full show. Yeah. We would definitely take elements of that. I think there are certain things about The Night that I would probably change, but I do
read that
think
whole
it's a good
thing?
blueprint.
You read the whole
Yeah,
thing?
I did.
Oh,
yeah.
you did?
Yeah,
it's pretty solid, though, overall?
It's good. It's just not how I think we would do it.
Okay, got it.
I think they could have spent more time with the mentors that were pre-established rather than creating new ones. And it's tough, too, when it comes to the Ra's al Ghul stuff, because inevitably it pales in comparison to what Nolan did in Batman Begins. Part of it's also that Bruce Wayne defeats Ra's al Ghul in combat before he's Batman. I'm just like, dude, that doesn't happen. Like,
I think
another that happened.
I didn't say this in the thing, in either the Patreon or the real thing, but like one thing I'd want from this, and like I know people are afraid of this due to cultural issues and stuff, but I want the mentors to say really deep shit, and like, you know, what are they? The Buddhist koan, which is like those like deep phrases that don't make sense at first, or you have to kind of like think about, and then it helps you to reach enlightenment. I don't know. It helps you to think more, and I don't know. I just want, like, I know it's a stereotype, but I don't know. I'm just so attached to the idea, and it doesn't have to just be the Asian master. It could be all of his mentors, but like I want to hear some deep shit again. Nolan did that very well in all of his shit. You know, some of the lines in there, it's like, wow, there's some deep wisdom in here. You know. And that's one thing I would bring back.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. Whether it's Kung Fu or Nolan or whatever.
This is the
just you feel smarter.
Batman, though.
You feel smarter whenever you fucking watch the show, in a sense. Like, damn, that line might change my fucking life. You know?
Right.
Shit like that. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, these are his mentors. So
yeah,
they're the characters to have this.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Nate is the name, commented on our episode about the Wachowskis, Batman Year One, and whether or not it was real or fake. My opinion was that it was fake. So Nate says, like with Ben, I never thought this was real. I looked around, and anyone saying that Wachowskis wanted to do Batman is pretty much repeating what others have said, not from legit sources. I strongly feel this is a fan-made creation that sadly has become fact to certain people without anyone finally debunking it. Until now, with us. So, thanks, Nate.
Yes, thank you. I thought about this too, like, I gave a little bit of credence in the episode just because it was Warner Brothers. They're the top directors at the time. You know, they might have had half a phone call once. I mean, who knows? As for any scripts or even treatments, probably not. But they might have been. They might have thrown a name around.
At least. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. You know,
you want to do Batman? Now let's work on these Matrix sequels. Okay, cool. The end.
I got more anime shit to make in live action.
Right.
They won't be as good as the first, but hey, you're throwing me a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Throwing us a lot of money.
All right. Speaking of throwing us a lot of money, thank you, Patreon patrons.
Well, not. I mean, yeah, yes, okay, yeah. Thank you, everybody here. We thank everybody for your contribution, but at the same time, we're not rich just yet.
No,
that's why I'm laughing. So, anyway, we want to thank everybody here, of course, but more recently, Jack G, Put Your Guns On, Michael C, Braxton W, and Leom. Oh, Leom O's back, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Leom.
So, yeah, thanks, everybody, and thanks for the other supporters as well. And, man, we've told you about our friends here, and we would now like you to do us a favor.
We want you to tell all your friends about us.